Welcome to Conversations with Healers, a podcast and video interview series that features intimate, soulful, and cozy conversations with self-healers and healers. Healer to healer, we dive into all aspects of self-healing and healing and being and becoming a healer. I am Damla Aktekin. I am a healer and the host of this podcast, and I can't wait for you to listen to this conversation. If you are new to this podcast, please take a moment to subscribe so that you can be aware of new episodes. I also invite you to visit adropofom.com, adropofom.com, where I share a lot of free resources for self-healing and healing, and you can take a free quiz to find out what your energetic wounds are and how they may show up in your life. Discovering what your wounds are is the first step in healing them. I hope you enjoy this episode. There is one more thing I would like to share with you before you listen to this episode. I created a wonderful container to help you heal your energetic wounds and activate the infinite light and potential of your inner children. It is a crystal energy healing membership called Chakra Bliss Vault. Every month you will receive 3 new crystal healing sessions. Plus, you'll immediately have access to my entire energy healing recording library when you sign up. The membership is really affordable and will continue to be so. You can find out more about it at adropofom.com, adropofom.com. I invite you to make healing your energetic wounds and connecting with your inner children a priority and invest in your well-being by becoming a Chakra Bliss Vault member. Hello everyone, this is Damla and I am here with a solo episode for you where I'm going to break down how 2024 went for me, and I will dive into a little bit of the 2025 astrology and what it all means for you, what it all might be bringing you, and I'll also talk about my goals for 2025 for healing and for my work and otherwise. So starting with what's changing in 2025 for this podcast is pretty much everything. So, I have really fallen into this project. It's been over 5 years now that I am producing episodes for you. And I hinted at this a little bit in my last solo episode, which is that the structure of it is changing. And the structure of it is changing to allow for more breathing room for you and for me. I am no longer interested in producing episodes just for the sake of producing them. Like, I don't want to be tied to a schedule of giving you something just to give you something at the first of the month. Primarily because I'm finding that I need that time to recover from the amount of work that this podcast takes, and to give myself time to get inspired. For instance, I still want to talk to people. I still want to introduce you to healers. I still want to bring up interesting healing topics for you to listen to. But I don't want to do it just because I have to, because this is something, it's a truly hard project for me, this podcast, and it has been. And I don't want it to turn into a, like, you got to produce this and this every single month type of thing, which it hasn't been, I want to say, for the first 4 years. And then last year, 2024, it just felt a little like that. So I'm just putting the brakes on. So all you need to know is that there will not be an episode every first of the month. But I do want to keep this here as an option for me to reach out to you either with a solo episode or when and if I'm inspired by someone or I'm inspired by a topic. Like December 2024's cold dipping episode was very much like that for me. It's something that I'm deeply interested in. I really enjoyed that conversation. We got into the spirituality of cold exposure and cold dipping with Amy Hopkins. So that's the kind of episode that I want to be creating. And I don't know, and it might be a couple months until you see me and hear from me again. And then it might be that I produce something like I don't know, 2, 3 months in a row. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We'll see what this means for us. And then if there's a time when I feel like I need to wrap things up here, I will. I don't feel that. I don't feel that yet. I feel like this is serving a purpose as it is, and you're more than welcome to go back and listen to all the rest of the 70 plus episodes that are already there for you. There's a lot of goodness there. There's a lot of lessons there that you can still listen and tune into and get something from. So, all that is to say, I will be following my guidance and inspiration and not some self-imposed or outside imposed rule that this needs to be happening every single month at a certain time, because I'm finding that's not how my energy and inspiration flows these days. It's more fluid and more unpredictable than that. Which brings me to my personal lessons for 2024. This was a tough year in a lot of ways. My first personal lesson being, and it has been building the last couple years, I feel, but my first personal lesson was around physical physical health, and I have found more and more symptoms of perimenopause in my life. There was a lot of energy dips and ups and downs. There was a lot of brain fog in there, um, hot flushes, night sweats, you name it. So perimenopause not only knocked on my door, she said, I'm here. I'm here to stay. And that's, for instance, a subject that I do want to come back to for sure and talk about with people that I'm inspired from. So that's going to be coming. But let's just say I'm in it and I'm moving through it. If you're in it too, you know. If you know, you know. And it's not an easy ride so far for me. It has been, however, very educational. I've been reading about it a lot, learning about it a lot, and I am in the process of making a lot of life changes around it. Introducing regular exercise, regular walking, and weight training into my life, which is not something I've always worked with my body weight in yoga and Pilates, which is in my background, but I haven't really gone into learning more about weight and weight training and strength training, which is something that I am doing. So that's another thing I might want to talk about here. But let's just say that it is a journey, and for anyone going through this hormonal change and shift, as I am with me, or if you've gone through it and you're on this other side of it, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to know how that has been for you. What were the resources that you got inspired from, that you would want me to look into for you and for everyone else listening. Just reach out to me. I'm pretty reachable. You can send me a message on Instagram, Facebook, or just email me. Um, so that was the physical part. And The personal part has been, there are a couple elements to it. But the big hitter was, again, around my relationships. I have found that last year and this year, I mean, last year meaning 2024 and the previous year, 2023, it has all been about me looking at my relationships, my boundaries, and how much I extend or overextend myself, as well as I realized the biggest lesson for me was I realized that in certain relationships, I had been living in a fantasy. I had been seeing like the storybook version of some relationships in my life, of what they could be or what I thought that they were versus what they are. Needless to say, that was a very rude awakening. That was a very rude awakening for me to realize, oh, this and this person that I thought, even from my childhood, that I had a relationship with in this way, I actually don't. They actually see me completely differently. They don't really know me, they don't understand me, and this isn't working. Um, and the second way that happened was, without naming names, I had been part of a, let's just say, learning group or a spiritual group. And I came to realize that my values and the values of this container didn't align, and the leader of the container. So I needed to leave that container and that group. And the lesson there for me was I had been feeling that in my body for a long time. Like for almost over a year, every time I went into that container, I felt like my body felt constricted. I felt anxious. Afterwards, it would take me a long time to get back to my senses. Um, but I didn't or couldn't justify in my mind to leave the container or the group. And then something happened and it made it very clear for me that that wasn't okay for me anymore. And when I asked for guidance around this time, what I heard was this mantra, which is, I'm so grateful for the clarity. I'm so grateful for the clarity that this is giving me. And what I knew in my body, I can now say yes to. And I can now say no to what is not feeling good and okay in my body. So if you're listening to this and if there's something in your life that is not quite aligning, that doesn't feel completely in line with your values, or something just doesn't sit right in your body, just trust that feeling and know that that is your body is telling you something. And you can always ask for guidance and come back to the mantra of just let me get super clear on this. And that may not always be pleasant, the way you get to that clarity, which it was for me. It wasn't pleasant, but I got there. So, with those two things, with me realizing with some relationships, I had been living in a fantasy. And then, and again, with some relationships, I already knew, my body already knew that I had been hoping and living in a fantasy, but that wasn't the reality. So with those two things, the blessing there for me was I came to rely not only on the resources that I trust, like my existing relationships being one, my existing friendships, my existing connections that I knew and felt were aligned and that spoke to my heart. I came to realize that, and this feels emotional for me, that I get to be there for myself. And even at some point when I thought things were going to explode even more and there, there would be even more drama with regards to these choices and these things that were coming up to the surface, I realized one day that, okay, even if that happens, I'll be there for myself. Even if that happens, I will reach out to this person and this person and this friendship and this resource and this support and my crystal healings and my EFT tappings and my inner child healings. So I realized that I've built an ecosystem of love and support, not only around me, but inside me. And that has been huge for me. I feel like it has given a new meaning to everything that I do and everything that I share here. I have created an inner child crystal healing membership with over 200 resources. And those resources were there for me when I needed them. So I know that they work, and I know that they can hold you along with your other ecosystem of resources. So that was a proud moment for me, that I could say, okay, no matter what, even if I'm ashamed or even if I blame myself, even if I feel like things are falling apart, I can be there for myself. I can just be there. I can listen. I can, and I've developed this relationship with my inner realm at this point in my life so much that I know that if a part of me is struggling, there's another part that can hold it and love it. And I know that I'm able to hold all my parts in love, all my inner children in love, all my instincts and knowings and even shortcomings in how I take care of myself sometimes, or how I fail to put boundaries in place sometimes. I can still hold myself in love. I would say that's probably one of the biggest lessons of 2024 for me, is that sense of I can be there for myself. And that has created this quiet peace in me, this quiet peace that, okay, life is not going to go a certain way every single time. And I'm still gonna open up to relationships, and I'm still running the risk of getting hurt in those relationships or in those groups and in those communities. And I can make different choices. I can say, okay, this was working for me, but it's not anymore. Let me pull my energy back, or let me put this boundary. Let me step back, or maybe let me step forward. This seems interesting. This seems fun. This seems playful. Let me step forward that way. So I hope that this gives you an opportunity to reflect on your journey and to think about what were the times where you have been able to be there for yourself in 2024, and what were those moments that you're really proud of being there for yourself, or leaning into the support that's available to you. And my healings, the healing membership is there for you as a support mechanism. So are my intuitive readings, astrology, tarot, Turkish coffee, which goes really deep. And then the inner child crystal healings are they're a complete journey. But needless to say, I think I keep coming back to this place of, okay, initially I get an idea, I get an impulse, and I don't quite always know why I'm being pulled in a certain direction. I've learned to just follow and go with the flow. And lately it's like, oh, okay, like that's why I've created this way of holding healing space. That's why I created this healing membership, for this and this reason, for people going through this kind of transformation and lessons. So it's been very fulfilling to see things falling into place in that way. And for those of you who are new to me, or you've never, heard about what it is that I do, I am an intuitive inner child energy healer, crystal healer, and an inner child intuitive reader, as well as a writer. And if you go to my website, adropofom.com, adropofom.com, I actually have a ton of free resources. Some are and paid resources. Some are very low cost. Some are working with me one-on-one is a little bit more of an investment, but it's available to you, so you can check those out. Okay, so and the other thing that happened this year that was sort of pivotal for me is I went into a deep, deep physical clearing. I let go of everything, and I mean everything that isn't needed in my life. That includes emails, books, things, gadgets, this and that and the other. I actually went through in 2024 summer my whole house, like top to bottom. There, I didn't leave a single drawer, or there's no junk drawer anymore in my house, or a single cupboard untouched. I went through our basement with my husband. We got rid of a bunch of stuff. We sold a bunch of stuff, and then we organized the rest into categories, labels, and things. Like our basement especially, I mean, think of it being symbolic for the, lower chakras of our life. Our basement was in a bad shape since the pandemic. So what happened though, things just kind of settled in my physical environment. It's hard to say. Like I don't know, I not only went through everything, I organized everything. Like my bed sheets are in order. Like I have the king, the queen, the twin. I have them like in these little bundles. Like everything's in place. Um, we got a couple IKEA cupboards, so um, I was able to organize things into where they needed to be. So everything has a home, everything it feels easy to find and easy to put back to. So around that time, I got a little crazy with it too. Like I sort of burned myself out a little bit over the summer because I was trying to do all these. I was trying to work on my book. I was trying to work on my website. I was still doing the membership, and I was still doing readings and healings and all the things. So if you're intending to do this, I would say spread it out more, which is not something that I did, another lesson. But something in me was driving it. It just felt like, um, especially after the relationship lessons that I went through that I told you about, I just needed like freshness in my life. I needed everything to be like, like gone and freshened up. And all of this to say, I am not, and we are not as family, we are not minimalist by any kind of measure. We're no minimalists, but just something got lightened in our home, in our lives. And it's interesting to me because another thing that led to this was I actually work with um, two home healers. I'm going to put their information down here. One of them is a feng shui healer, Lise Dupre, and the other is home or space energy healer, Cara. I'll put her information as well. Like what I did with them, what kind of turned me into this place of understanding, okay, everything inside of me is being reflected outside of me. And I want to tend to this right now. I want to care about this right now. I want to create a space and a home and a place that I'm proud of, that I'm interested in being, that I don't feel dread every time. Every time I stepped into my basement, I was feeling dread and uneasiness. Again, talk about the symbolism of diving into the under realms, into your subconscious. Um, so I did that, and a lot came out of it. Not only is there a sense of this, like, almost like calmness and openness in my home right now, it feels it's also become a place of refuge for me. It always was, but even more so a place of refuge for me. It's also become a huge important part of my, what I was calling my ecosystem of support. Like this place, I am now, like, I look at my little trinkets and things and my books, and um I don't know, like I keep a card deck in my bedroom that I love. All those little things. Now I feel as I'm moving through the home, I can touch um, with a loving heart, and that just creates more openness and more hmm, being settled in my body. And the other thing that this opened up a space for is actually a dream come true. I had a couple dreams come true this year. This was one of them. I had been experimenting in going into infrared saunas, and I would just rent the space, meaning I would go to a wellness center, I would sit in the sauna for an hour, you pay a certain amount, and then I would come out feeling amazing. And as I was looking at my goals and dreams for 2024, at the very top of it, get an infrared sauna. And in my mind, I always thought, okay, we don't have this space. Where would we even put it? Like, can there be one that can go outside? I live in New England in the US, north of Boston. It's very cold here. So an infrared sauna outside, not a great idea, but I was just trying to think. And to be perfectly honest, financially, even it didn't feel possible. I was like 5 years, 10 years down the road, we can maybe get one. Interestingly enough, around the time that I was organizing the basement, getting rid of all this stuff, I looked at my husband one day and I was like, I think we have space for a sauna. Like, I don't know. I think we might have space for a sauna. I don't know. Like, maybe like a small one. Anyways, so around this time, and then I looked around and I was like, oh, no, 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 maybe not. I don't know. Like, I don't know if, where do we put these boxes? Yada, yada. Like, again, I wasn't um, quite thinking about it as a solid possibility. And around this time, I got an email from this place that I was visiting to go and rent a sauna for an hour. And they said they were closing. And then I was like, huh, would they be selling their sauna? And then I emailed this person and they said, yeah, they would be open to it. And that led me to researching. The first thing I researched was I looked at the measurements of their sauna. And then I went downstairs and I measured, like there's like a certain place in my basement, and I was like, huh, it totally fits in here. Like it hadn't occurred to me that I could look at the measurements of a sauna and see if it could fit in the basement. But it turns out it could. And then I started to search a little bit more, and then one thing led to another. I actually found a model and a place that I really loved that I realized that they do the installation as well. And this is a brand new one, by the way, not no longer like that one fell through. Um, but interestingly enough, that was the universe's nudge for me to begin to think about this. And I found a model that I loved, and it fits 2, 3 people, and it's like within our means when you do like when you break it down into like installment payments. And I was like, whoa, like what's happening right now? This is my like at the top of my dream list is an infrared sauna, and it's just like falling into place. I can't even explain the magic around it. So, and I had done all the work, I had done all the clearing, I had done all the organizing, and suddenly it was like, whoosh, there's like a magical space opening, and universe, brought in the inspiration. And then I took the action, like I went and visited the infrared sauna, a few infrared sauna selling places. I did my research online, and I was like, okay, this is it. And the sauna came, and her name is Bella. If you've been listening to me before, I have a cold dipping tub or a trough called Delilah. So Delilah is outside with the cold water, and Bella is inside with the hot infrared sauna. Every time, I'm gonna get emotional, every time I step into this new container, it's like I can't even, it's not even about, and I see it as an investment for our health. I've been going into Bella quite a bit, and my husband it's been such a blessing in New England winter. I can't even tell you, and you go in and you sweat and you come out refreshed, like there's blood in your pores and everywhere. It's beautiful. But it's so much more than that for me, because when I step into it, what I feel is, oh my God, like I thought this dream was impossible. I didn't know that I could get there, that I could do this. And now when I step into it, I'm like, what else is possible? What else is available for me, to all of us when we make the space, when we do the work, when we do the inner work of being there for ourselves, for opening up the space to give ourselves a beautiful environment, to do the healing work, to do and then to do the actual work of research and really taking the step by step. Okay, first I measured, then I looked online. What are the benefits of this type of model, this type, and what am I comfortable with? Like, I'm not comfortable with installing it myself. I need someone to install it. So, but it just made it very clear to me that like I can keep dreaming. I can keep dreaming about the things that I want to bring into my life, about the things that I want to experience, and about the things that I want to create for myself and others. Um, so that's my story of Bella. Bella, the infrared sauna. She has been really truly changing my life, not only on a cellular health level, um, but like how I explained in the way that, again, every single time I step into it, I'm like, thank you, universe. Thank you, past Damla, for doing the research. Thank you for the nudge. Thank you for like giving me this um internal drive to clean out this wrecked basement into something that I'm proud of, for making the space and everything. I mean, it's just, it keeps reminding me of the possibilities. And I think that's what I want to leave you with is, um, when you do put in the work, when you do work on expanding your resources, and your home is a resource. Your home is a resource that you live in every single day, and your body is a resource, and your body, your inner children, the way that you care about it and the way that you care about all the little parts of yourself, the way you tend to your energetic wounds, all of these things matter. And when you do those things, what is possible for you? What are the dreams that could come true? Just something beautiful to sit in and sit with. So, my next dream that came true this year, and I'm laughing because a sip of water. It's both a dream. It's been both a dream and a deep, deep, deep learning process that is still ongoing. Okay, so the next dream that is still in the process of coming through, but mostly has been completed within 2024 is my book. I wrote a book about crystal healing and the love of it, and how it's all about love, how it's all about making a connection, making a relationship. And I finished writing it. I haven't finished putting it all together. That's the part I'm learning. But here's what I've learned. And I do want to make a separate podcast about this book that's so near and dear to my heart and so special. And I can't wait to share it with you. So I'm going to tell the story of her in a separate podcast. But let me just talk about the process, because this book has been in me in 2022. I went to Egypt, I went into the temples, and I kept hearing, you're going to write a book, and then you're going to write more books. And they even told me I had everything I needed in my heart to make this creation and all my other creations. And it has been like a little seed starting in my mind even before 2022. So it's been 2+ years. This is like another, my website is another story, but I won't go there. This has been like, I didn't realize how much patience, how much work, how much soul was going to go into it. In your mind, you're like, how hard could it be? It's just a couple pages, it's this and that. But what happens is, of course, it's not about that at all. It's about you healing your creative wounds. And I realized that I have quite a bit of those. And what are creative wounds? Creative wounds are anytime you or someone else, or even the society, stifles, puts down, ignores, um, trashes, I don't know, or doesn't nourish your creativity and your creative dreams. And that has happened to me quite a bit. Uh, all of this time, by the way, I'm also working with Julia Cameron's The Artist's Way. I'm going to include that as well. And that has been a journey of realizing, okay, how many times have I been put down in wanting to try this creative new thing, or in wanted to go do this thing that lit me up? And then how many times have I put myself down for doing the same? And I moved through it. I moved through it. I'm still moving through it. It's just, it's so interesting to me that a project starts as, you think of it as one thing, and you're like, oh, this is going to be this one thing that I'm going to do. And then it turns out to be quite something else. And I think I'm going to leave it at that, and I'm going to dive more into it in the book dedicated podcast episode. So, I would say in terms of dreams coming true, that quiet peace of knowing that I can be there for myself and that I can make choices that feel good. I can change my mind. I can pull my energy back. I can put boundaries in place. I can completely get myself out of a situation. I can choose to put myself in a situation. So that was a great blessing of this year. And then the sauna, Bella, and realizing, oh my God, what else is possible? What else could I put into place if I put the inner work and the outer work, and if I take my time, go, you know, bit by bit, step by step for it? What else? What else is possible? What else could happen? And then with my book, learning that, okay, with each and every opening and expansion, I'm going to be given the opportunity to heal what is between me and that expansion. And yeah, so those are my lessons for 2024. Quite intense, if you ask me. And I think all of these also are hand in hand with what I consider not just my energetic wound healing, but my physical healing as well. Things like, how can I be there for myself? Like, can I make time for this? Now that the sauna's in the house, in the basement, can I actually make time for it? And then can I go on that health walk that's going to be good for my mind, but I don't feel like doing, and so on. So everything is hand in hand. Um, and 2024 has been quite generous with all the lessons, which I'm sure you're feeling too. So if you have any lessons that you want to share with me, with everyone else, again, just find me, tell me more about it. Okay. So this brings me to 2025 astrology. The reason I start with the astrology is it's quite unique. 2025 is quite unique. I know we astrologers say it every year. We throw at you, oh my God, it's going to be intense, it's going to be unique. But it is. And here's why. 2025 is asking us to step into a completely new energy, a completely new landscape of vibration. And even if you're not quite into astrology, you're probably feeling it. Things are changing. Things are changing in our society. Things are changing with AI. Things are changing with this and that. Let me break down the astrology first. It's actually quite simple. Everything's changing. Everything is changing in 2025. So Pluto, as you know, changed signs into his next 19-year cycle in November 2024. So Pluto in 2024-5 is going to be going through his very first full year in Aquarius. That's the new vibe for the next 19 years. That's something we're going to experience once in our current physical lifetimes. So that's new. In 2025, Neptune, Saturn, Jupiter, Uranus, the big outer planets, all changing signs. And you may say, Damla, everything, these guys seem to be changing signs all the time. Not quite, and not at the same time. Neptune changes signs every 14 years, Saturn every 2.5 to 3 years, Jupiter about once a year, and then Uranus every 7 years. And it just so happens that they decided all to change signs in 2025. So at least for the next year, if you're thinking of Jupiter, or for the next 3 years, Saturn, or for the next 7 to 14 years. And if you think about Pluto, the next 19 years, we're entering new waters, new energetic vibrational formation. And it's going to take, January is actually starting out with a lot of retrogrades because it's going to take some adjustments on our part, on our physicality, to get used to swimming in new waters. And not only this, the inner planets, Mars, Venus, Mercury, are all going retrograde. And yes, Mercury goes retrograde about 3 times a year, but Mars and Venus don't always do that, and they don't do it at the same time. And this time they decided to bring it all for 2025. Have fun. And probably the most important, the nodes, meaning what you know to where you're going to, what you know from past parallel future lives to what you're going to for your evolution, for your soul purpose in this life. So what you know being the south node, what you're going to being the north node, their signs are changing. They're changing from Aries and Libra to Pisces and Virgo. So the north node in Aries is changing into North Node in Pisces. So Pisces and Virgo is different from Aries and Libra. So the South Node being in Virgo, Virgo is all about analyzing. Virgo is all about the mind, about concrete truths, about what's real and in front of you, what you can see with your eyes, taste with your mouth, that sort of thing. And then Pisces is let us swim into multidimensional waters. So I think with this whole landscape of watering, and I keep saying water because Pisces, of course, water element, but also there's something about 2025 that reminds me of that. What I mean is the vibrational ocean that we're swimming in is changing. And when that's happening, you can't go by what you know in your mind with your taste buds because it's no longer there. Or let's just say in 2025, it's no longer going to be there. And you got to learn to trust your vibrational instruments, the body. We talked about the body knowing. You got to trust your vibrational instrument, deep quantum instrument of the heart. You got to trust your inner knowing. So 2025 is all about what you know through your mind, which you still need. That's great. But you're going to be asked to leave some of the analyzing or overthinking behind to trust your inner knowing, trust your intuition, trust that as a vibrational being, the more you take care of this container, this body, you'll be able to swim through whatever waves and vibrations come at you. And then, of course, one more thing, one more change. When I said everything's changing, I meant it. Aries eclipse series finishes, Virgo Pisces eclipse series begins, and that happens every 1.5 to 2 years. So it's happening this year. Great. And these are uncharted waters, right? We're entering not only the planets changing signs, and then how they interact with each other is changing because they're moving into different influences. So different elements of you might be interacting with each other differently now. And I keep saying this, I've said this in 2024, but this is a great year for prioritizing your energetic wound, inner child healing. Why? When everything is changing and when your parts are sort of out of place, you gotta need tools to get back to that inner knowing, to get you kind of need to get to know yourself again, reconnect with yourself in new ways. so that you can navigate these waters, so that you can find your way through this changing, evolving environment and allow for change to happen. It's very difficult for change to happen when you have blockages, when you have energies that have been sitting there for over a century, or for over, I don't know, since your childhood, that you haven't really tended to. That's going to make it more difficult to swim. It's like trying to swim with a weighted vest. Not easy. Yes, you can do it potentially, but it's not going to be beneficial for you. It's just going to put more load and more weight into you versus taking a deep breath and really tending to your energetic wounds, connecting with your inner sparks or inner life sparks of your inner children. And I teach this in my Inner Child Crystal Healing membership, Chakra Bliss Vault. I help people do this on one-on-one sessions, in my intuitive readings, and in my inner child healing sessions. So those are available to you. Feel free to take advantage of those resources. And you will be asked to do this, prioritizing your energetic wound healing, inner child healing, and your well-being every single day. So those are two different things. There is the daily taking care of yourself, like the daily meditation. I don't know, you can do like a nice crystal healing here and there, which is great. You can do your walks, but then unless you go into the basement, I think that's a good analogy. You go into the basement of yourself, your subconscious, and you really look at the patterns, what needs to be cleared, what needs to be updated, what's no longer serving you. It's going to be very hard to do the daily well-being work unless you do the deeper inner healing work. So if you want to go into that journey with me, I'm here. Go to adropofom.com and let's figure out how I can be there for you. All right. The last piece, what's important to me in 2025 is continuing to listen to my intuition and guidance. I can tell you that I already have. When I think about it, I sometimes feel like, oh my God, just get overwhelmed. I already have like so many downloads of courses, trainings, this and this, events, summits, and bundles and things that have been like downloaded in full. Like I have a path laid out for me for the next 5 to 10 years. And it keeps coming. And I'm so grateful for it. And I keep taking notes and I keep saying, okay, one thing at a time. What's next? What's next? And today was this episode. And then I'll do something else that I'm guided to. But and coming back to the sound, I think of like, okay, what's next? What's my next physical step for this? And then what's my next healing step for this? So I keep doing those, but it's come to it's come down to, for me, the intuition and guidance. Because unless I pay attention to this instrument, my body, I'm pointing out to my body in the video, it just feels a little lost for me. Like I lose sight of what's happening, what's going on, which was a little bit what it was feeling like when I sort of put myself in a position of producing an episode like every month. And even though I know there are people who produce an episode or more every week, it's just, for me, it was a lot. So now I'm going to scale back on that. And prioritizing my loving, respectful, supportive connections. I truly believe that your wellness, your healing is an ecosystem. It's not only in you that you nourish, and then there are things you get to nourish outside of you, like how you like your home, how much effort you put into connecting with that friend and making that appointment for your checkup, and all of those things play into it. And continuing to prioritize, again, not just my daily care and well-being, but the deeper subconscious healing. I cannot do the work that I do and offer you something inspirational and healing in the realm of energetic wound healing unless I do it myself. So it's a very, very huge priority for me. And there are things that I learn in my own healing that I'm committed to bring out to you as lessons, as healings, as new trainings. So that's coming. Just bear with me. Bear with me. We'll get there. My word of the year is deliverance. This came to me around November, I think. And deliverance, the meanings, the dictionary meanings are the act of delivering someone or something. And delivering means to set free, to assist in giving birth, to cause oneself to produce as if by giving birth, to speak, sing, utter, to send something aimed or guided to an intended target or destination, to come through with, to produce the promised, desired, or expected results. And to me, it means very simple. It's very simple for me. It means delivering whatever I'm inspired and guided to deliver. So that's my motto. Channeling love. Channeling love and delivering to me is using every tool available to me to channel that love and that healing. I show up and the guidance, the healing, the message, the love shows up. So I will keep showing up for me and for you. I will stay creative. And I hope that you continue to stay on this journey with me, even though I just told you that I won't be producing that many more episodes this year. I do still love this connection that we've created. You've created it by showing up, and I created it by showing up for you. And I'm open to what this wants to be. I'm open to seeing where we go from here. And I'm so, so grateful to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Episode after episode, you've been amazing. And if you like this, please share it with someone you love. And I hope this has brought you some inspiration and some, how should I put it? Some juice around looking into your own lessons and how you experienced 2024 and how to think about and feel into 2025. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I love you. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to Conversations with Healers. If this episode spoke to you in any way, please leave a review or comment, like or love it, and share it with others in your life. This is a true soul love project from my heart to yours. I really appreciate your help in spreading the word. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe and check out other episodes to listen to some extraordinary healing stories and advice. Have a beautiful and wonderful day.